Mr. Lonely. I have nobody for my
Hey, no, I didn't see you. No, come in. I was just eating my ramen here and sitting by a nice crackling fire. Oh, please sit. So, do you want to hear a story? No. I'm sure you do. So, it all started on a cold Brockport evening. I sat down in my study and began reading this article titled Creative Writers and Daydreaming, written by the famed Sigmund Freud, and I couldn't help but be enlightened by his argument. One phrase in particular caught my eye. Freud said, "One feature above all cannot fail to strike us about the creations of these story writers. Each of them has a hero who is the center of interest, for whom the writer tries to win our sympathy by every possible means, and who he seems to place under the protection of a special providence." This forced me to think, how is the hero's journey depicted in literature, and how does it relate to real life? In the article, he pointed out the similarities between short stories and many other types of literature when they contain a hero figure. He argues that in every story there's a formula for the hero. The hero is under the protection of some providence that prevents him from being killed or hurt. He ultimately gets the girl at the end, and there is a clear separation between good and evil. He argues that the only thing that these characteristics accomplish is satisfying the daydreams of the reader, because these parts are very unrealistic. When speaking about how the hero is invincible, he said, "Through this revealing characteristic of invulnerability, we can immediately recognize His Majesty the Ego, the hero alike of every daydream and of every story." When speaking about the woman falling in love with the hero, he said that that can hardly be looked at as a portrayal of reality. Sorry, guys. And finally, he said that other characters in the story are sharply divided into good and bad, in defiance of the variety of human characters that are to be observed in real life. Clearly, you can gather that Freud saw right through the plot of most stories and would agree that there is a recycled effect and a fakeness to each story. Although the characters and the setting change, he said, even the most extreme deviations from that model could be linked with it through an uninterrupted series of transitional cases. After researching more into this idea, I came across a theory generated by Joseph Campbell, a man who was influenced by Freud's wayward disciple, Carl Jung. Campbell argued that every story is based off of one original story. He called it his monomyth theory. This theory has three different pieces with subparts within each. The three phases are separation and departure, initiation, and return. The first part of separation and departure is the call to adventure. In the article Campbell's Hero's Journey Monomyth, David Straker said the hero starts off in a mundane situation of normality, from which some information is received that acts as a clarion call to down tools, take up sword, and head off into the unknown. Here the hero gets some call to leave his home and go off on an adventure. Next is the refusal of the call, where the hero hesitates to leave or go on with the adventure, but eventually the hero accepts and decides to go along with it. After that, the hero receives some form of supernatural aid, whether it be a lightsaber or a necklace, or anything that will help the hero. Once this is complete, the hero crosses the first threshold, meaning they go past the point of no return and are stuck on the adventure, whether they want to or not. Then, very soon after this, the hero enters the belly of the whale, so to speak, meaning that he is fully immersed in the danger zone. Next comes initiation. The first piece is the Road of Trials, in which the hero is tested time and time again. The most common types of tests are the brother battles, in which he fights a familiar foe, and the dragon battle, where the hero fights a terrible monster. Either way, the hero faces many struggles during this time of the story. For the next part, the hero meets the goddess of the story, or the woman who is a very powerful and mysterious figure who shares some kind of bond with the hero. Also, there is normally a time when the hero meets temptation, often the female form, which can divert him from his adventure.
Skip class with me.
After that comes atonement with the father, meaning that the hero must beat or persuade his father in some way. The difficult relationship between the two is the reason for this. Next comes apotheosis, where the hero comes to some bigger understanding of the world, and it most likely helps him with the more difficult part of his adventure coming up.
Thanksgiving's on a Thursday.
Once this understanding is achieved, the hero faces the ultimate boon, which is achieving the final goal of the journey. Whether this is defeating the final enemy or finding the treasure, it is when the hero reaches his goal. Finally comes the third part of this monomyth, the return. The first piece is the refusal to return, meaning that the hero wants to stay where he found bliss and enlightenment compared to his old boring lifestyle. However, this does not last long because the next piece is the magic flight, in which the hero swiftly returns home because of some reason. Either they have enemies on their tail, or they have some sort of time constraint, or something like that. After this, the hero receives a rescue from without, meaning that some unexpected source saves them from a pivotal situation. Sometimes it is a god that intervenes. After they are saved, they go through the crossing of the return threshold, meaning that they are finally home for good and their journey is over. Campbell said that at this point, the hero is now a master of both the domestic and alien worlds and can pass over the threshold between the two without further trial. And finally, the last piece is the freedom to live, in which the hero has earned the right to live life as they choose, and they can figure out what they want to do with their life on their own terms. When I came across this huge theory, I first thought, there's no way this could be true. However, I compared the most random movies ever and still got the same results. If you take a look at the plot lines of Shrek and Superman, although they are quite different, they still follow the same monolith structure, and I believe that most stories do.
Actually, according to my calculations, Shrek and Superman, no correlation. Wrong!
After grasping this idea, I looked deeper into the topic and came up with a third article titled The Hero in Fiction by Halibut Boyson. That dude. In the article, he shared the same ideals with Straker and Freud that there are a lot of similarities between stories, even if the setting or characters change. Boyson said, environments may change and are continually changing, and a certain modification in the hero's external guise and speech and sentiment may be the result of what we call modern improvement, but in the innermost core the characters remain essentially the same. Along with this mindset, Boyson goes into great detail about the similarities between many ancient stories, anywhere from the Egyptian legends to English fairy tales. At this point in my research, I concluded that the hero's journey is awfully similar in every story. No matter what changes authors have made to spice up the stories or make them different from the classics, I would definitely agree with all three of these authors in that there is a very basic structure to every single one. After being brought to light to this subject, I found it very hard not to see these elements in every story I know. Furthermore, the stories are so unrealistic, like Freud stated, that they have no direct relation to real life. As Freud says throughout his article, creative writers write stories to intentionally tap into our daydreams and fantasies. Therefore, they make unrealistic things happen in their stories. As mentioned prior, the hero is invincible, he gets the girl he wants, and there's clearly a good and evil. However, the real world doesn't work like that at all, and although these stories are written about heroes who save the day, they are written about fake heroes who don't exist in the real world. The stories may teach a lesson or have some sort of takeaway like that, but they are nothing more than drills into the subconscious of the reader in order to sell more copies.
Yes, it was quite a day. I learned, quite a bit from Freud. Damn, that's good. I really just learned that, there's a lot of just similarities between the structures of stories, and, it's just quite interesting, you know?
What?
Did I ever tell you the story about, the horse at the equestrian race with the clowns?
I gotta go walk my goldfish.
Okay. Alright. Well, you have a good day. Thank you for spending time with me. Appreciate it. I'll just go back to my fire and my ramen.
Yeah, see ya.
Have a good day. Okay. How to make friends. Bingo.